Good to have you back, ladies and gentlemen, for a Tuesday night. And guess what? We're going to have a full 2 hours. Why? Well, I did not know. I didn't know when the period of time that we were going to get all of our snow was going to be. But the snow started earlier this morning. It stopped around 1 p.m., and I was very diligent about clearing it all out and doing that in between working and taking care of other things. So it was nice. And the roads are pristine right now. Ain't no way I was going to stay away from the studio, away from Studio A. No way in hell. So here I am, although it is not going to be a band practice night. And I was really looking forward to hopping off at 8 o'clock and getting into the other room and starting to tear that room apart with the intention of rebuilding it in much the same way that I did this room. Because I can't wait to bring in the real variety on this show, especially when it comes to live musical performances, whether it be my band or anybody else's band, or I don't know, a juggling act. I want to bring a juggler in here. Now, we were talking about the live cooking shows on, what was it? I think it was this morning for a coffee talk, but it happens on Sunday a lot. What the hell's going on over here? All three of my screens just drew back and came. I don't know what the hell that was. Very weird. Don't even start. We're often talking about new programming, and I still want to do a cooking show. Talking about that with Jay Gulanello. I don't know how we do it in here though, because we would need some kind of an exhaust. Can't even bring a hot plate in here and cook some eggs or anything without their, can you imagine? Can you imagine we do a cooking show and we try to throw something together in studio and we trigger all the sprinklers? That's the last thing. That's the last thing I needed to happen this year. The last thing. Anyway, a lot of fun stuff like that going on, and I was looking forward to doing that in the other room tonight, but that's going to have to wait because the snow showed up, and it was a pretty good snowstorm. Got about, I think, 6 to 7, maybe a little bit more when you think about drifts, but it came out pretty easily, and it was moved pretty easily, so did that. All right, so tonight we're going to be doing, because we have the extra time, mixed topics. I've got a mix of headlines over here. Things that can start conversations. I want to revisit squatting rights. I put that out there last night. I really want to revisit that because and I set up a squatters' rights hotline. Okay? The hotline tonight has been repurposed for squatters. People who are dealing with squatters, people who are squatting. 914-369-1236. We're going to talk about that. Especially if you want to call the hotline and say, hey, listen, I would like to defend the act of squatting, that we do need squatters' rights. I want to know an extenuating circumstance that we need to consider that actually may be useful and to consider. Other than that, I don't see very much. I don't see very much good coming out of all this. So we'll talk about that tonight, and then we're also going to jump into a topic that I've been building for some time. And what is that? Here it is. You can still have time to get in on it on the forum. It's pinned to the top of the forum on quitefrankly.tv. Show thread, creepy small town in the middle of nowhere travel stories. Now, it could just be creepy travel stories, whatever, but especially if you found yourself in a small, obscure town. Doesn't have to be a ghost town. It could be nearly a ghost town. Just something. There's something off about shit. You get bonus points tonight if you call in with some kind of a travel story that had you snowed in somewhere. snowed in at a strange motel, whatever the hell it is, please, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be imperative that your calls come in tonight, and those calls can all be directed to the all-purpose line, 914-200-0269. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Calls on a number of things. But first, let's get our knives sharpened. I want to thank Blue Monster Prep for being wonderful sponsors of the show and providing a very necessary service. They are in the insurance business. I've said it before. It's insurance you can eat, you can drink, you can breathe through. Insurance that you can power up and make sure that a refrigerator keeps going in case you have any medication or things that are going to spoil, whatever the hell it is. This is insurance, okay? Survival prepping or whatever the hell it is to make sure that your house has just a little bit extra, a little bit more wiggle room to improvise when things get a little dicey. If and when that does happen, that's what Blue Monster Prep is for. They are an insurance company. Make no mistake about it. So you say, oh, what am I going to do with buckets of non-perishable food in the basement? What am I going to do with it? So I don't know. Hopefully nothing. Hopefully in 25 years from now, you're like, oh, well, the world didn't end. How about we eat a couple of months worth of lasagna and get rid of this stuff before it goes bad? I hope that's the case. Every 25 years, buy a little bit more food. Good. We could only be so lucky. So thank you, Blue Monster Prep. Thank you to all of my other affiliates over there on Quite Frankly's affiliate page. You should go check them out. There's so many wonderful, wonderful companies there. Wise Wolf Gold and Silver. You got the link to the official Quite Frankly coffee blend. Remember, you can do a monthly subscription of the Quite Frankly coffee, and it actually comes out, 7% cheaper or something like that. I don't know what it is. That was from the audience. The audience was like, hey, can we do monthly subscriptions of coffee? Paige at the coffee company, she set that up. Coffee Revolution in Davenport, Iowa. Go check it out. Oh, well, you can link on it. You don't have to go to Iowa. You don't have to do that. Flip City Magazine actually got a new edition out. They sent it to me. I was thumbing through it over there at the house. I got to bring it over here. Yes Cacao, Apex Water, Jay Gulinello's site. There's a lot over there. Go check it out. Okay, into the grab bag we go. First one up is from CNN. Now listen to this. Listen to this one. We were talking about deepfakes. We're talking about all types of digital scams, things like that. There's a finance worker. This is from last week. Finance worker pays out $25 million after a video call with a deepfake chief financial officer. Okay? This is a short one for you. A finance worker at a multinational firm was tricked into paying out $25 million to fraudsters using deepfake technology to pose as the company's chief financial officer in a video conference call, according to the Hong Kong police. You know, everybody's going to have safe words now. Whatever this is, let's see here. The elaborate scam saw the worker duped into attending a video call with what he thought were several other members of the staff, but all of whom were in fact deepfake recreations, Hong Kong police said at a briefing on Friday. In the multi-person video conference, it turns out that everyone he saw was fake. Senior Superintendent Baron Chan Shun-Ching told the city's public broadcaster RTHK. Chan said the worker had grown suspicious after he received a message that was purportedly from the company's UK-based chief financial officer. Initially, the worker suspected it was a phishing email, and it talked of the need for a secret transaction to be carried out. However, the worker put aside his early doubts. I mean, come on. After the video call, because of the other people in attendance had looked and sounded like colleagues he recognized. $25 million. $25 million. He agreed to remit a total of 200 million Hong Kong dollars, about 25.6 million, the police officer added. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to. Do you think he lost his job? Do you think he lost his job? Jeez. 25 million. And the Moulin, was it the Moulin Rouge, the Baton Rouge bandits that called me at 4 o'clock in the morning only wanted 1,000. Jeez. The Baton Rouge bandits. That's still very surreal. Still very surreal. Man, still feel the adrenaline pumping. Anyway, let's move on a little bit. Here's another one for you that should bring a smile to everybody's face. Our friend, Monica Kelsey, friend of the show, who came on to talk about her very, very personal passion project, the Safe Haven Baby Box. You remember that? Where mothers can, if they want to surrender or abandon their babies, that they set up this amazing anonymous drop box. Well, another baby was saved. Melville, Missouri. A newborn girl has been safely placed in Safe Haven Baby Box at Melville District Fire Station number 2 on February 8th. The baby girl is now safe. These boxes aim to prevent the unsafe abandonment of newborns, offering a life-saving alternative. Installed on August 8th of 2023, this is the first Safe Haven Baby Box in the Melville District. It's designed as a secure legal option for mothers in crisis. The box features a temper control incubator. You guys all know about that. Monica Kelsey, founder and CEO of Safe Haven Baby Boxes, said that the mother made a courageous decision. Quote, "I know that this does not come without pain. We may never know your story, but let me just tell you how many people love you, how many people have been praying for you, and it would be an honor to allow us to walk alongside of you," she said. Melville Fire District responders quickly cared for the baby upon the discovery. They took her to a hospital for further checks. Here's a quote. "We knew the value of these boxes in Missouri, and we are thankful that it was there for this mother when she needed it," Representative Murphy, St. Louis, states. The mother's courageous decision to utilize Safe Haven Baby Boxes is a testament to the impact of these life-saving initiatives. So that is great that Monica Kelsey, the things you do in life, the things that you do, and when you see something really come back and work well, and people are impacted in good ways, you pray for the mother, you pray for the parent in crisis there, but the baby's got a chance that it didn't before, or at least the baby has stability right now that it did not before. That must be a great feeling for Monica, and good for her. Here's one last thing that I'll put out there for the opening, a little something to look out for. We'll see where we can get updates on this story, because I'd seen it covered elsewhere, but here it is on allthatisinteresting.com. The Titanic of the Alps, shipwrecked from 1933 to be raised from the bottom of Lake Constance. How do you say that? The Santis? The Santis. Santis. Operated for 40 years before it was sunk in 1933, and it's so well preserved that you can still read its name on the side of the ship. 90 years ago, a steamship called the Santis was sunk in the middle of Lake Constance. Like the more famous Titanic, its stern lifted as water rushed in. The Swiss flag at its tip gave one last rustle, and the ship slipped beneath the waves. Now plans are afoot to raise the vessel, but time may be running out as invasive mussels have started attaching themselves to the historic shipwreck known as the Titanic of the Alps. So there you go. That's it. This thing would often take loads of people, 400 at a time. Now, how many people died on this? Nobody died. Look, there's a picture of it stinking. That's it. Going down. So it earned the nickname Titanic of the Alps in part because it resembled the ship, and in part because it sank in the same way. There's an iceberg out there, supposedly. Like the RMS Titanic, it had 3-cylinder steam engine, and like the Titanic, its stern lifted as it sank into the waters of Lake Constance. But unlike the Titanic, which some 1,200 feet deep below the surface, this was only about 500 or so. Look at that. What do they call it again? There is a phobia of things popping up underwater. what is it? Phobia things underwater. What the hell is that called? Submechanophobia? What's that? It's the fear of submerged human-made objects, like okay. Well, I get that would be it. That would be it. Something like that, no doubt about it. I don't like water that I can't see the bottom of. It's very anxiety-inducing, no doubt about it. But this right here is something else. Like I loved and still do love reading about the Titanic, and I was obsessed with it, like in second grade. Will love it. And I would look for every bit of footage that came out. I mean, back then it was slim pickings. It was just whatever, what's his name, Robert Ballard did with Alvin and JJ, the two submersibles that went down there. I mean, that's all that we had for a long time. But now there's been so many dives down to the Titanic, and man, there's so much more to watch right now. If I were 7 years old, I'd be going nuts. But there's something still so terrifying of seeing the bow of that ship come out of the blackness, knowing it's down there. And sometimes I don't even want to look at it straight on. It's weird. It's just so weird. It's like it should not be down there. Nothing should. It's just, I don't know. The ocean, man. The ocean really gets me. Weird phobias. What do you guys have? You guys have any weird phobias out there? Strange phobias? We can talk about that some other night. I think we did that a couple of years ago. But the underwater stuff is interesting because I can totally relate to that. And I find it so fascinating when people can just jump down, especially for recovery missions. Man, for recovery missions, whether it be crashes, plane crashes, ships sinking, or anything, for people to go down there in the blackness looking for dead bodies. Wow. It's just balls. It's admirable. It really is. So maybe I can get somebody like a diver, like the rescue diver, to come on the show one day. That would probably be a memorable one, huh? All right. This and much, much more on the other side of the intro. I hope you guys are ready to rock. I sure am. We will be right back after this.
Excuse me, are you a banana?
No.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
All right. I said to myself, you know what I haven't heard in a long time? Black Velvet. So there you go. Just a little bit of that, little flavor. I was looking in the chat room. And I asked about the phobia thing. And here's a little bit of what I saw. Steven Peterson says he has possum phobia. Well, I can understand that. I told you, Winston's uncle moved into the neighborhood, son of a bitch. Here's another one. Clowns. Seeking Freedom says clowns. Tryptophobia, says Tanner the Great. I get, is that the holes? Is that holes and stuff, especially on skin? I'm not. It's one of those things where it doesn't. I'm not like, but I look at it and I'm just like, that's fucking weird. You know what I mean? Holes. God forbid. Illegal alien phobe. And Lance Lucifer is an illegal alien phobe. I guess I'm with you on that one too. Who else? S. Oak says, went boating in a Pennsylvania dam with our fish sonar, and you can see the houses that were underneath us. It was creepy houses. That is creepy. Because you know that there's personal effects in those houses still. There's I don't know, there's a couple of frames that were left behind, something. Silver spoons, something like that is down there. That's incredible. Carnies. Fargan Ice Hole says carnies. Don't like carnies. Caves are creepy, says MC. Driving over big bridges, says Pistol Crystal on the Twitch. Prostate exams, says Moose Nickel. Beer and Lime Lady says men whistling. I don't know if is she responding to me or not. I don't know. The phobia of men whistling. It means that he is alone, working with tools in a shed nearby. Jeez, I don't know. I guess there's something for everybody. Let's see. Anything else? Anybody else put it in there? Nothing. I don't think so. Hey, there might be more new phobias coming our way, but there's that. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is 7:19 p.m., and I want to just get right into a few things and bring on some of your calls because I think it's going to be a good night for calls. I have a couple of things for the second half of the show, including one that could be considered related to a phobia, the phobia of being buried alive. See this one? We'll do this on after the break. Woman comes back to life in a hearse on her way to be cremated. God forbid. God forbid. And we'll do that in the second half. I'll just throw that out there. Something that we can do later on. But here's what I wanted to bring up first and foremost. Headline that we did yesterday. Squatters are taking over homes all over the nation on an industrial scale and turning them into dens of crime. Now, when we read a little bit of this last night, it got around to just focusing in on Atlanta. The city of Atlanta said that there was 1,200 houses there that were taken over by people who should not be there and are becoming increasingly harder to remove. That the police aren't removing them on time, that a lot of the owners of these properties have to go there and actually pay them to leave. And in many cases, they're doing some pretty unseemly things there. Like they're turning them into makeshift strip clubs and everything else. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. Let's listen to this. If you can believe it, there's even one company that has been running ads on social media offering to find a prime squatter home in Atlanta for you for a fee. Did you hear what I just said? Here is a little bit of that ad. At first glance, it looks like just another real estate pro hustling to rent homes on social media. But at one-time payment homes, the site makes it clear that these are squatter homes and spells out just what that means in a pinned Insta story. Quote, the company's owners will come out, so will the police. The police will tell you that there's nothing they can do about it. Squatters' rights. Our Channel 2 producer JP read off the Instagram account. Recently, One-Time Payment Homes has actually been running a New Year's special. $1,400 will get you the keys to a squatter home so that you can stack money and turn your life around. I'm sure that's exactly what's going to be happening. Whoever's behind one-time payment homes should be in prison, but that's not how America works in 2024. Instead, I wouldn't be surprised if someone gave those behind one-time payment homes some type of award. Of course, it isn't just in Atlanta where squatting has become such a widespread issue. In the state of Washington, squatters have taken over an entire apartment complex and have turned it into a den of crime. It's bad, said Angel, a resident at the apartments. The cops are here 24/7, every day, every night. I keep my kids inside. I don't let them out. California has also had ridiculous laws, and right now, a very sophisticated criminal ring of squatters is making a ton of money from Beverly Hills mansion that they have occupied. A Beverly Hills mansion seized by the court from a fugitive surgeon. What? A Beverly Hills mansion seized by the court from a fugitive surgeon behind California's biggest insurance fraud scheme is now a wild party house taken over by squatters who are profiting off of regular ragers that are driving neighbors nuts. The Mediterranean estate at 1316 Beverly Grove, listed for $4.5 million, has been occupied by a very sophisticated criminal ring of squatters. The home's listing agent, John A. Woodward IV, tells Los Angeles Magazine. The squatters, he believes, are earning upwards of $30,000 a month renting rooms and hosting huge house parties with $100 entry fees. $30,000 a month. More. You know, when I don't even own these properties. It makes you just shake your head, especially if you're out there busting your ass for something that you believe in. This is just, I don't know. This is just Lucifer's hammer. That's what this is. So give me a call. That's number one. Give me a call on the squatters line. Are you currently squatting right now? Are you a landlord who is dealing with squatters? Have you dealt with squatters? What is going on? I want you to call in. I want you to tell me what the hell you're thinking. Vent a little bit. Let everybody know what the hell's going on, and what kind of insight you can bring into this thing. Now, the other thing I want to bring up, here's some food for thought first. I'm going to give you here's an email that I got from a friend of mine, and I hope he calls in. It's hit or miss. He may not have the time, but he said this. He said, Frank, where do I have it? Here you go. He says, in a nutshell, Frank, the tenant on the lease, and he works with properties in New York City. And whenever I can get him on the phone, he said, I got so much more because this is not just my properties. Obviously, it is citywide, and you got to understand what's going on here. There's a lot of great people in places like New York City who would love to be able to turn things around, but there is a large, bigger than New York plot to just steal property from people, to steal these buildings, to repurpose them into government-subsidized beehives. Obviously, they are giving precedent to people who don't work. They're giving precedent to people who are not even citizens. It's getting crazy. But listen to this. This is a thumbnail sketch. He said there's a lot more. He said, Frank, in a nutshell, the tenant on the lease can simply hand the keys over to anyone and just leave. It'll take a couple of days or weeks for the super to find out about it, or our office will eventually find out because the tenant stopped paying rent. Depending on what legal procedure you decide to go with, whether you want to do a non-pay or holdover, you're looking at about 9 to 18 months to finally evict the squatters. 9 to 18 months. You can just, as long as you can get in there in New York, get into a space in New York City, you can just shack up for a year and a half. He says you'll have hearings where the court tells the leaseholder to show up and possibly the John Jane Does. They may not show up the first time. It gets kicked down the road for a couple of weeks or months, and then they show up and ask for representation. Another 3-month delay. Then I show up to do an inquest. Another delay. Around 9 months. In around 9 months, if Jane and John Doe show up, the judge will say, okay, how much time do you need to find another place? During this time, our office still needs to do repairs, and they, the squatters, can call HPD, that's 311, to report any damages to the apartment and the entire building. They usually do this once they receive court papers. You'll never get any of the back rent. Once there's a squatter, you're just trying to speed up the eviction process as fast as possible. Once the apartment is vacant, you're most likely going to spend $20,000 to fix the damages. Because, of course, they're not very... I mean, anybody who does this is not going to take care of anything. Do you think that would fit the profile of a person who would take care of property, especially if it's not theirs? They build illegal walls to house more people inside of the apartment. Here's the final bill that we're struck with. In a $2,000 a month apartment, $24,000 in lost rent if it's last year, if it lasts a year, $2,000 to $5,000 in legal fees, $5,000 to $10,000 in repairs when squatters are living there, $20,000 to finally renovate the vacancy. Add another $6,000 in lost rent when renovating it, and it's listed with a broker. That's messed up. That's messed up. And think about it. This is going on across not just New York City, but probably so many other places too. What the hell is going to become of New York City? Now, this is bigger than street activism. Now, obviously, you need a leeching moocher class of people who are willing to live this way and are willing to actually put the screws to private property owners and eventually be a major contributing factor as to why people are going to give up their private property to just get the hell out of Dodge and find greener, saner pastures. But, I mean, this is all policy. This is all regulation. And it has to be done because they know exactly where this is going to lead. How can you not see 2 steps down the road like this? Anyway, the lines are open. I just saw a missed call. I hope they call back. I just don't even know. So please, ladies and gentlemen, I can't imagine that there's not a few of you out there who doesn't have any kind of insight on this or wanting to vent or whatever. Please give us a call on that end, and we'll roll that into the show. Here's another one for you. Here's an email. Here's an email from somebody that will lead us right into the other main topic of tonight, and that is your travel stories. Strange travel stories. I got an email from somebody. Said, hey, I'm someone who worked 20 years ago. I was flying twice a week. Business, all that, every week for work. But today I'm done with flying. From the naked body scanners, the general incompetence of the TSA, all the way to the experimentally vaccinated DEI pilots, it's just not worth it. Hold on. We got a lot of, all of a sudden we got a lot of calls coming in. Let me take a call. Hold on a second. First one up is King. What's going on, King? It's been a while.
What's happening, baby?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I got a phobia.
Okay, what's that?
Suck phobia. I have a fear of sucking, like just sucking in life, so I push myself not to suck.
That's a good one. That's actually a good motivating one.
Yeah.
I
do suck sometimes, and I hate it when I do, so that makes me go, all right, I'll only let myself suck for so long, and then like, all right, you suck right now, get your shit together, and don't suck.
Well,
so suck phobia.
if that's the case, you deal with phobia very productively. I'm happy about that. Let me ask you this, because
yes,
maybe you have some insight into this, but what about the squatting issue?
Oh, Jesus Christ!
What I mean, I know that you have you've been around, you've seen things, you know how you just know how people organize themselves and what they think about other people's property. What do you think about squatting, especially the way it was and the way it is now?
Bums. That's what they are. Bums. You're not talking about squatters' rights. Bums' rights. Freeloaders. It's not productive for any society. I would live in a cardboard box under a bridge before I would just insert myself in somebody's home and say I deserve to be there because I'm a squatter, or should I say bum. It's bullshit, man.
I'm with you.
No. You know what I mean? We're all dealt hands in life. Not all of us are going to achieve the same things, except the hands you're dealt with, and you deal with it. You don't push your problems on somebody else. If somebody decides to help you with your problems, hey, that's great. And you consider them a friend, and you don't take advantage of that friend, but you just insert yourself somewhere. You're a bum.
So why do you think these? And I'm gonna toss this over to a lot of other people who call in on this. Why do you think the prioritizing of bums? Because it's not about, hey, you know what, we're building a new civic center in the middle of town. We're gonna have soup kitchens. Let's say the community just thinks about little ways that they can create spaces for people who are in need that can come and get some extra help. Things that were purposed for that. But this is not what we're talking about, as you know. We're talking about private buildings, private homes, and it's just this new culture of people passing the keys to one another, and the police legally not being able to do anything. I mean, what the hell kind of a culture are you building?
Well, we all know why they're prioritizing bums. We all know why. It's a commie plan. Communists want people they can control. So who are their minions? Bums. People that want and need to be controlled, can't accept their situation and deal with it the best they can. So they need a mommy or a daddy or whatever else to do it for them. So they use these bums against us people like you, me, the majority of your audience that, listen, we'll take whatever life gives us and we'll deal with it the best we can. They want people they can control.
Good points. Well, thank you for the call, King.
Yes, sir.
There you go. And you know what else is going to come down to, too? Eventually, people who don't want to completely have everything that they worked so hard in attaining and building up just taken away or having to just cash out, it's going to be about, hey, I'm going to go hire my own bums to go in there and act as enforcers and just clean house a little bit. Because all you need to really do is get these people out of the house so you can padlock the doors, right? I mean, if you're the one that owns the house, I mean, what do you got? Let's take a call. Terry from Michigan. What's going on, Terry?
Hello.
Hey, Terry, go ahead.
Do I have to push a certain button or?
What?
Is this Frank?
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
I'm good, but this really brings up a really weird memory for me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's insane. And I'll make it fast, but my partner Gordy and I, we had this property that we had, we were renting for the longest time, and I'm a terrible landlord. I let them run all over me, So we decided at a certain point, we're just gonna fucking sell it, And then someone in the community caught word, we're pretty popular, that we were selling it, and they're like, hey, my son-in-law's coming from Montana, and his wife and the kids are relocating. Can they stay there for a few weeks? And I was like, I got a big heart, and I'm like, yeah, for a few weeks. Oh, he can help paint, and he can do this and that. And so I'm like, all right, that's cool. We can make arrangements. Well, the guy moves in, right? And no kids, no wife, And it didn't actually move in, but he was like gonna do like after hours, work. And then suddenly, I go there one day and there's a mattress like in the living room, the small place, the small little community, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I get off work so late, I don't have time to paint, all the shit. And I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. If you want to crash a few nights, where's your wife? Where's your kids? Well, little did I know they were going through a divorce, and he was a heroin addict, Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
So anyway, this guy is like, he's camping out there every night. And I told him, I'm like, Josh, I'm like, you got to leave. I'm like, this is not working out. You're not doing what you told me you're going to do. I had no idea he was on drugs. I'm really naive to that shit.
So you wait. So you just accept, you said you can come in, you can, because you said that you were talking to his mother first, right?
Yeah.
And she offered him up as a guy that can help. Just needs a little bit of odd jobs. He can fix up the house. Yeah. He can paint, all that stuff. There was never any conversation about him actually staying there in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Basically, it's like, hey, can he come here and like guys out, have a transition place, with his family, and then find a place to live on his own. And I'm like, housing's hard to find. I get that, you're transitioning from Montana to Michigan.
So how hard?
Like, that can be difficult.
I understand you there. How hard was it then to get? Is he still living there?
No.
Okay.
So, what had to happen? This is. I'm going to be honest because this gets crazy. So I'm in a lifelong partnership with my guy Gordon, and this guy sends me dick pics, right? And I'm just like, oh my God.
Wait a second.
Is like next level.
So now the guy, the drug addict that is supposed to just be painting your walls and is now sleeping in the middle of the and he's on heroin and you can't get rid of him. And now he's making sexual passes at you.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I didn't know how to handle that right away. So I didn't share it with my partner because I was like, okay, I just got to get rid of him, And it's like I would never lie to my partner and I'd never cheat, but I would just like, okay, this is next level and I'm scared.
So how'd you get him out? So how'd you get him out? Because he's on drugs. He's on drugs and he's horny. So this is dangerous.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know about the horny part. I think that's more of like, yeah, that's a whole nother level. But anyway, so what we did, honestly, is finally I told Gordon, I'm like, I've got to tell you everything.
But Terry, I got hold on, Terry. I got a couple more calls behind you. Just tell us, how did you finally get this guy out?
Okay, so Gordon actually said, you know what, I'm fucking done with this. He packed up like a suitcase and he went and moved into the house and told the guy, he's like, I don't care if you want to stay here. I'm fucking living here and you are going to move out or I'm going to make you move out. And Gordy actually moved into the house for like a week and forced the guy out.
He lived alongside of him for a week?
I know, right? Yeah.
This is weird.
But we didn't know at the time.
This is weird.
Honestly, we didn't know he was on heroin at the time.
Even if he wasn't on heroin, this is weird. It's already confrontational, and the fact that he lived alongside of him for a week. So then what? He just like finally he found he felt his space was cramped and left.
Yeah.
All right.
And the king lion moved in and said,
all right. Last
out,
question. Last quick question. Was there any local ordinance or laws? State laws that you were dealing with that made it impossible for you to just call the police?
Actually, I'm very connected with like the narcotics agents and such because I'm a good guy, And,
yeah, but Terry, narcotics aside,
there was nothing.
There's nothing. Okay.
Nope.
Did you try?
The only thing we could do, yes, we could give them 60 days to 90 days eviction notice. But we could have no interaction or even go into our own house.
But he was never an actual renter. That's what I don't understand. How can you evict somebody who literally just weaseled on in there? Was supposed to anyway. Well, you know what? It's a crazy story. Yeah. Thank you for the call. I have a couple more coming in. That's Terry from Northern.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Yeah, no. Well, hey.
From Mississippi.
Well, thank you. Thank you and Gordy over there. Have a good one, and thanks for the call. Man, that went all over the place. Lived along. I'm going to show him. I'm going to stay in the same house. He's going to hate that. I would have just gone in there and grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and throw him out. If you can't, I mean, that and you say, well, then there's an assault on your hands. Well, I mean, I don't know. I would not deal with this nicely. I wouldn't deal with it nicely at all. That's a real issue. Hold on, we got a couple more. I'm looking for this one in particular. Where the hell is he? You know what? To hell with it. I just saw the missed call. I'm calling him back. Hold on a second. I'm calling up.
Hello?
Hello, is this Mr. B?
Yes, it is.
Hello, Mr. B.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I read your email. Now, you said that this was only the tip of the iceberg because these are people who probably don't even have the means to pay rent, even if they wanted to. They're just taking advantage of a situation. But you've told me in the past, in a very vague way, and you tell me whatever you can get out comfortably, that there is an even bigger scam that's going on, especially since COVID, with people who have more than enough resources to pay but aren't paying. What about that?
Yeah, so I mean, they're doing Airbnbs. It's not on the Airbnb website. It's on other websites. So they're renting out their apartments on weekends. They're collecting those funds. We have it on camera. We can see people going back and forth. So that's happening a bunch, and they're also just not paying their rent. They're declaring COVID hardships. Okay. So once you, in New York City, if you were affected by COVID, which was a while ago, you can apply for something called emergency rental assistance. And what happens is once you apply for that, saying that you're, the tenant that has, a lease in New York City, all you have to do is apply for it and say, hey, fell on tough times, can't pay my rent. Immediately when that happens and you stop paying rent, the landlord sees that you're not paying rent. They'll issue a dispossess on your apartment. So they're saying, hey, we want our money or else you're kicked out. What ERAP does is it puts a hold on the eviction process. So you can't move forward with the lawyers if they apply for that emergency rental assistance. That doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to get that money, but it kicks it down the road 12, 15, 24 months down the line. Now, a majority of these people do get this money. They get a big lump sum of money, which brings them back to possibly a zero balance. This is what puts the landlord in a sticky situation, right? So we might be out $25,000, right? And ERAP says, all right, you know what? We're going to cover 20 of that. If we accept those funds, then we have to allow that tenant to live there another year.
Jeez.
So that's what happens with that. So you have people who are capitalizing on this. They're receiving whatever, they might get their $1,400 from Biden or whatever. They're making money on the side, but they just go through ERAP.
And you're saying that they're also gainfully employed, but they just say
sure.
They're just saying that I don't have to pay.
They're running operations left and right, and these people, they can still keep their cable bill. They still keep their Con Ed on. All right, they got the brand new shoes. You can see them. They look fine. They haven't fallen on hard times. And that's what happens. And I'm on the line with lawyers all week, and I'm just asking for the status of the ERAP. Has ERAP shown any progress with this? Are we getting money? And most of the time it's, no, we haven't seen anything. So you have people running up balances of $50,000. We've had people $154,000 in back rent.
In back
rent? They're
rent?
just waiting for this. In back rent, yes. So that's what happens with that. It's very tough to catch them with the Airbnbs because you can't see where it's listed. And then you have the squatters, right? You can go in, the supers are the eyes and ears of the building, right? So they might go in because there's a plumbing issue in some tenant's apartment, right? And they might see curtains that are hanging over a room, right? So you can't see through the curtain. you anticipate that there's a mattress down there and somebody's paying rent to live there. So that's what's happening with that. So it's happening all over the place.
And okay, well, and like I said, yeah, this is a very, very small sample of what's going on, probably throughout the entire city, and then in neighboring states and elsewhere too. So what's the end game? I mean, I see this as complete property loss.
End game, I believe it's only gotten started because we have, let's just say that you have a vacancy, right? And it's under rent stabilization laws. So rent stabilization, pretty much the government can control the rent, right? Because back in the 60s, they saw a spike in rent and they're saying, hey, rent's getting too damn high. We got to regulate this for the people because, landlords are bad, right? So what happens with that is the government assistance, whether it be Section 8, Department of Social Services, they're willing to chip in and help tenants, prospective tenants in need, right? And what's happened is landlords are able to discriminate in just a few ways, right? It's financial discrimination. You can call it that, okay? But we want to make sure that you pay the rent, right? So you can ask people, how much do you make? What do you show on your taxes? What's your credit score? Those are pretty much the only two things that we can say to tenants, prospective tenants. They provide us that. We do a credit check. We see what they made on their taxes. If they make, 40 times the asking rent, if they have a 700 plus credit score, that's what we can look at. If the government decides to step in and provide assistance for these tenants and say, hey, you know what? We know what the rent is on that unit. We're going to foot the bill. We're going to pay 100% of that. If the government decides to pay 100% of it, we cannot discriminate against that tenant.
Gosh.
So if the tenant signs up with the government and they have a 480 credit score and they made $0 in 2023, we still have to take them.
That's horrible.
Because the government's footing the bill, right?
And when you say government footing the bill, where and that's just the government stealing from people again. It's just it's the meme of the power strip that's plugged into itself. It's incredible.
So when you have good buildings that are rent stabilized, that have a good tenants in them, and then what happens is you get these vacancies, and the brokers, their back is up against the wall, because if they list this apartment, they got to go what's first in their inbox, right? So if they get a social services email saying, hey, we have a tenant, we'll foot 100% of the bill, they can't delete that email. They have to take that tenant. So they kick it to us. We have to take that tenant. Now, we don't know we don't know the back history of that tenant. We don't know what's going on. So we have to move them in there. And then you find out, the tenant's a knucklehead. They have dogs. They didn't put that on the application, right? They stay up all night. They're making noise. They're causing trouble. They're doing drugs and all that. And that's what drives down, the atmosphere of that building. And then tenants start to complain. Tenants start to move out because they feel like the building's unsafe. And that's what turns a good building into a bad building.
Well, I listen, I know that you can probably go for another 5 hours. And this is something that needs to be it needs to be talked about, because this is all the unseen stuff, the unseen wars that are going on, the things that are really ruining just local culture, atmosphere, whatever the hell it is. It's ruining everything, because this stuff has been applied even in the suburbs now. It's being applied outside of the city, in suburbs, in Westchester, things like that, and people know. Again, the only thing that we get in the mainstream are these encouraged narratives against the landlords. It's the we're fighting against this evil group of people called the landlords, and there's plenty of bad landlords out there, but you got to imagine that there's just as many, if not more, bad renters out there too. So it's just, geez, but
there are illegal squatters and there are legal squatters now. That's what they're doing. So they're just shoving people in, and they're saying, we'll take care of it until we don't take care of it. Then it's your problem.
Damn. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. B, and I will talk to you soon. We're gonna have to do an addendum to this soon.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Take care.
I'm for it.
See ya.
Care. See ya.
Dude, I mean, it's happening all over the place. Now, all we get are the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes. So these landlords, and what are they doing? You're mobilizing people who are now being protected and pushed into places that, frankly, they have not even earned. You know, it's not about, hey, can the government's money, can the government subsidize a person's rent? It's not, can the government subsidize a person's character? A lot of that goes hand in hand. You know, it's not about just injecting somebody into an empty house in the middle of the suburbs. The suburbs, I mean, this is a natural progression of a person turning into a family, moving up in the world, working, skill, ethic, building things up, and having etiquette. And you're developing yourself as a neighbor, as a member of a community. But they're not. That is almost like akin to I don't know. I think that would be like almost like ableism. Okay, because everything's a disability these days. So you're just taking people who are, by and large, the money is almost secondary in many respects, because if it was a well-kept house and there was good community feel there and everybody was all right, but I know some local building owners who had very, very reasonable gripes about not letting people in because they had bad credit score. They did not have the income coming in. They are looking for one thing or another, and they just had to decline them. And immediately they were hit with, well, I find this discriminatory and blah, 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 blah. And you check any damn box. Any damn box. That's the mentality people are in right now. They can check multiple boxes, they will. So, you know, there are bad landlords, there are bad renters. But who has the invincibility shield being built up around them, and why? Because at this point, the landlords, be they ethical or unethical people, are private property owners. They're private property owners. Okay? And what do we know about owning things and being happy? Patrick, you're on the air. What do you think?
Hey, Frank. Hey, how you doing? Patrick. Yeah. Hey, that was a great call, the last one. I learned something new every day, watching you. But, yeah, King was right. This is part of the Bolshevik revolution, if you will. Just divide and destroy and take the middle class down, right? Or the landowners. But I had a situation. This is like the sign of the times, probably 30 years ago, living in New Orleans. Me and my girlfriend, probably eight units in this apartment building. And this one guy squatted for about 2 months, him and his girlfriend. Nobody cared. And I think he was working too. But within about 2 months, the word got out to the landlord. And there was like I was just having a coffee in the morning on my terrace. I'm looking, four sheriffs pulled up with guns drawn. I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope this guy doesn't get shot. Anyway, they put him in cuffs, hauled him off. But I mean, you can't get away with that back then. And also, I would say, like, I've never used a VA for anything. I came to Florida and I was offered a voucher from the veterans. And, you know, I understand. But they still in Florida, they had a right to say, no, we're not going there. Right. Right. Okay. But I mean, it's not every. So I think the laws are different in every state. But
oh, absolutely,
you know,
it's gonna be different in every state, and it's also gonna be different as the years go on. Thank you for the call, Patrick. I'm up against the top of the hour now, so I just want to get one more in because I definitely want to do the stories, or else I got to change the damn title of the show again. But you know, these topics, they're fertile, and there's no way that I could bring this up the other night and not get any call. I know that this stuff is is big time. Let me take a call. 239, you're on the air on the Squatters Hotline. What do you got for me? Are you a squatter?
I'm not a squatter, no.
Okay. Turn off the show, please.
Oh, okay. Hold on, Frank.
Okay.
All right, Frank. So I have a theory I want to postulate for you.
Okay.
All right. So we know that the country's under invasion, right, with illegal immigration, and it is a fact that NGOs, non-governmental organizations, are the ones facilitating this in this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you have all these millions of people here, what's the next step? How do you house them? Where do you put them? Well, you have tenant advocacy groups that are, offering free lawyers to these squatters. So, how do you attack the middle class? How do you get rid of the middle class? These communists, that's what they do. If all communist countries, you either have the very rich or the very poor. How do you get rid of the people in the middle? So, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of advocacy groups coaching illegal immigrants or just anybody who wants to do general harm to, good tax-paying citizens that are just trying to make the American dream their dream. So, just something to think about there. I think this is all being done on purpose.
Oh, no doubt about it is. And thank you for bringing that up, because there's a number of ways that you start hollowing out the middle class. And the first thing, thank you for the call. The first thing is inflation. So when you really start messing with the dollar to a greater and greater degree, where prices go up, the buying power of a dollar goes down. There's so much there. The first people it's going to impact the most is the middle class. The lower class is already, for the most part, completely subsidized by the government. The middle class still was trying to keep themselves free from most of that. And then, of course, even when you talk about middle, if everything went away, people would be very, very surprised as to how much assistance they are getting from the federal government in many ways. Just how many industries are regulated by them as well. But this is one thing where you can see almost like an industrial size takeover of housing. 100%. Because Mr. B that called in before talking about what's going on in places like New York City, yeah, there's a lot of vagrancy, and there's a lot of people who just are degenerate about things like this. And those are more. If you have a spot in New York City and you're tapping into those COVID funds still, and you're running your place like an Airbnb, you're a side hustle, this and that, and you have money. I mean, that is an upper middle class to upper class hustle right there too. I mean, everybody's in on that one. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. And it's a big reason why at the very most basic point of all this stuff, these programs, these responsibilities that government has taken, these agencies and bureaus that they've created, the departments that they've created, the responsibilities that they've taken on for the common man or the common renter and all that stuff, as much as it is definitely had a positive impact on individuals' lives, on a whole, it is a horrible, horrible idea. It's a horrible idea. Communities have to find ways of being able to pick up the slack and being there for people who need help the most, whether it be shelters, soup kitchens, churches, community centers, whatever the hell it is. You got to find a way. But there is so much right now to even say, well, the church has got to step up and help people. First of all, that has been so beaten out of the everyday culture of everybody's. That whole, I don't know, that community right there is not in good shape as it is. And number two, this is industrialized homelessness. Okay? It's industrialized housing gangsterism. It's too much. If everybody was kicked out, and rightfully so, because they're just taking advantage of the system, and private property owners are just being made to eat it, where does everybody go? There's not enough shelters for all the people who are just gotten a free ride, and especially since so many of them are not even citizens now. You know, you got these former 4-star, 5-star hotels in New York City that are just like, they're like, you know, vertical refugee camps. So it's, yeah, they're taking a chunk out of everything. And the one thing it really does take away from the middle class in a non-monetary sense is the sense of security in where they live, the sense of security in their neighborhoods. That security is gone. And if you talk to your average tanky Marxist thug, they say that that security is something that is a privilege that we here in the United States have been far too, I don't know, expecting to have. Security and tranquility. That's a privilege that so many other people around the world don't have, so why should we have it? Because they're suicidal. So many Marxist thugs think that way. That it's a point of how dare you feel like you should have that privilege to feel safe when so many other people don't feel safe. They're fucking terrorist thugs. So, this is how it goes hand in hand. There are people who take advantage. There are people who go out there and actually, you know, do all the smashing and grabbing on the street. And then there are the bureaucrat thugs who are there to make sure that some of those Marxist targets, like landlords, are taken out in very subtle ways. And COVID is still paying big bucks. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So in the second half of the show, we are going to be taking more of these calls, and I want to do creepy stories. Do I want to? At this point, half the show is gone. It really sucks. It's a good thing. You know, one topic took off, but it smashed into the other. So, whatever. We're going to jump off right now. We're going to go quitefrankly.tv, pilled.net. Both of those links are out there. Please join us on the other side. And I just want to say that we are at, I don't know, I think we're about 35% along our way to around 80% on Subscribestar. Please, ladies and gentlemen, become a sponsor of the show. There's a lot of great things going on, a lot of great things to be done. And your sponsorship is invaluable. So please, I would love to call you a boss or a boss lady of mine. I'll be there to welcome you with open arms and thank you for everything. I will see you on the other side.
The rest of the show is available exclusively at pilled.net. Follow the link in the description of the episode, get signed up, it's that easy. Or head on over to quitefrankly.tv, just press play. No paywalls, no censorship, no strings attached. So head on over, quitefrankly.tv, powered by Foxhole, and pilled.net.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to intermission.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, intermission. Yeah, intermission.
We're now entering, quite frankly.
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 Quite frankly.